Put down your baby and pick up a beer. Dad Jokes is back with a brand new episode. I'm Jerry, joined here as always by Brandon, and you're listening to the podcast of two dads going through the journey of fatherhood while you all get to listen to us do it. It's good to be back, Brandon. It seems like it's been a little bit longer than normal, and I'm sure you've got a lot going on. I got a lot going on. So what's going on, my friend?
It's been an eventful last couple of weeks and a really eventful last few days, which we'll get into in just a little bit.
Yeah, we got an interesting topic today, something actually that came up a few weeks ago. We were just talking at work, and you're like, that's a good topic idea, and so we're going to talk about it today, and that's basically how to ensure your kid is I will call it eating healthy or getting the proper nutrients, because we all know toddlers can be picky and can be stubborn. So how do you make sure they're getting everything they need to be getting from a dietary standpoint while not banging your head against the wall? And I don't know if that's even possible, but we're going to talk about some ways or some suggestions today because I don't know about you, Brandon, but food and eating is a daily battle, I'll call it, in our household at least.
Yeah, without question. I'm actually laughing because as we're recording, my brother texts me and says, our dad needs to be banned from eating hard candy, man. I don't know what he's thinking. It's funny the timing of the text that I just got. But they're visiting my brother down south right now, which is what we'll get into part of with my weekly update. But I'm excited about this topic, Jerry. But I think it's time for a dad joke.
Yeah, I think, you know what's funny? I'm 95% sure. I came up with this dad joke a while ago, mine. And I'm 95% sure we've said it before now. I don't know why. Before I wasn't, but now I am. So I'm going to let you go first because I'm going to have a backup because I'm pretty sure my dad joke is a repeat.
Well, we'll see. I'm pretty sure mine isn't. But because I said that, somebody's going to point out that we said it in episode 37. And it's now episode 116, which is crazy. But,
That is
Jerry,
crazy.
What country only uses electric cars?
Electric stand. I don't know.
It's Madagascar.
That's actually like that. And, ironically, I think it might have been a week ago we watched that for at least my first time with Peyton, and she kind of liked it. We watched part of it, and then she lost interest. But I hadn't seen that movie in forever, so
I love
it's
that.
a solid.
I
one.
actually went to watch it a few weeks ago, and I saw that Kung Fu Panda was on basically in the same app. And I was like, you know what? I think Bryce will get into Kung Fu Panda a little bit more. But the whole point of it was going on the app to watch Madagascar. So that's fun. Great music.
Peyton
in
does
Madagascar.
not like
Madagascar 3
it
specifically.
Well, Peyton does not like Kung Fu Panda. I've tried that a few times because I like it. And I'm like, animals, she'll like it. No, she could care less about Kung Fu. She's becoming more picky with like movies. She used to watch like anything. Now she's like picky, and it stinks because the ones Dad likes aren't the ones that she likes. So we have not been done well with the Kung Fu series. I tried Kung Fu Panda 4, I think also, and that's probably what got turned off to put Madagascar on because she was not feeling it after like a minute or two. So, oh well. Anyways, Brandon, what's been going on in the Banks household these last couple weeks?
A whole lot. I'm gonna skip or cut right to the lead, which is Bryce starts school tomorrow as the time of this recording. So probably today.
That's
when
crazy.
you guys are listening to this, we'll be on our way to drop him off. So I am not okay. Neither is Kelsey. And we're gonna make it through it, but it is. I felt it. So this coincided with, and this was intentional on my end. But I took a vacation or time off work, middle of this week, first couple of days of next week. To get more time with Bryce and KJ. I hadn't had a bunch of like just one-on-one time with KJ since he was born, other than those first couple of weeks. But also just knowing that Bryce was getting ready to go back to school, get some dad time in with them. We were originally planning on potentially going somewhere this weekend, but ultimately the other side of it. So he starts school tomorrow. We had a school open house on Thursday, I think it was, and that was just like we'd been to the school, like met the teachers months and months ago, but kind of it's setting in, and knowing, hey, and I'm talking them through stuff. I'm showing them the playground, showing them the gym. We're going. His part of his program, he's going to be in latchkey for an hour on most days, and then cool. The latchkey room is actually it's the room for a bunch of kids, but it's attached to his actual classroom, so it won't be crazy transition there. But and I might be a minute talking about the school, so you can interrupt me at any time, Jerry. But a couple things
good,
are just
because I'm glad you're going through it, not me.
Dude, I'm telling you, man.
So I'm gonna let you do your thing.
From a parent perspective, you're already nervous. Just like you basically are like relinquishing your kid to like people who you don't know, who they don't know. I could even tell as we started walking in like classrooms, he's like kind of, your kid's just nervous. They start like holding you a little bit tighter. He's like grabbing my leg a little tighter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is like not what I wanted. But he got into the classroom because there was a bunch of other kids in there. He basically he went in there, found his spot, like start coloring unprompted. He started kind of finding his way, but I could still see him kind of looking up, seeing where we were at as we were walking around. So that's the hard part is going to be leaving for sure, and I'm not sure how.
Were there any kids who just lost it? Were there any kids who were just like basket cases?
No.
Okay.
And so it almost seemed like a lot of the other ones were used to it or not there. Some of it was parent coming without the kid.
It could be daycare.
Yeah. So there were no one, and that includes Bryce. Bryce didn't lose it either. But parents are there at the time. So you probably will see less of that, and you're going to see more of it as drop off starts to happen. But the other part of it, so we've been focusing a ton on potty training. Like we want him to be ready, and still like the whole wiping thing is a problem. But in the back of my head, and this is a oversight on our end, like I'm thinking that the bathrooms are going to be tailored for kids. Like, I don't know why I just automatically thought that. They're not. So that I think that caused a little bit of anxiety for both me and Kelsey, because we're like, this kid got to put himself up on the toilet, which we got a stool everywhere. Can he do it? Yes, but that's been kind of an issue. And then it's no like smaller pots, like where like the lid.
They fall in.
That's what I'm saying. And so not only in the back of my head, I'm like, what if he falls in? But then this is like a public school program. So even though you're paying for it. So they are very clear that the teacher cannot basically go in with the kid to the bathroom. One kid got to go. They take all of them in there. And then it's like they talk them through it, but they can't touch the kids. And I understand the rule. Like, I absolutely understand the rule. Also, I want you to be able to go in there and, like, basically help my kid put his pants back on if he can't figure it out. So,
right.
This is one of those things that I feel like I'm kind of vocalizing my concerns. But I know, like, if I'm looking at Bryce, I don't think he's, like, the most advanced 2, almost 3-year-old. I also don't think he's the least advanced 2, almost 3-year-old. And somehow these kids still come out of this all right. So I got to keep, like, that mentality to a degree. But, like,
they've dealt with it before. They you know what I mean? It's not like their first school year, so I'm sure they've
100%.
dealt with everything that you could probably think of. So, but I get it. I'd be thinking the same stuff.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think, are they giving me, like, the company line, but also when it comes down to it, are they willing to?
Kids
are they
falling
willing to
over his underpants.
Because I'm 100% good with it. They tell you, hey, accidents are going to happen, which I was happy to hear because I know for a fact it's going to happen. So always have an extra set of clothes. But the other thing is, and this maybe y'all can start prepping now because I wasn't ready for this. The kids have to redress themselves. So he has to put his underwear on all by himself. I wouldn't even say he's 50-50 on that. He's 25-75 on that. He has to put his shorts on, put his shirt on. All that if something happens, he has to be able to put all that stuff on by himself. So some of that was a little culture shock because I think we were focusing on all of like the big picture stuff, talking him through, making sure he knows how to go potty, to say he goes potty. But some of the basics, like putting his underwear on his own, and maybe this is just a us thing. We haven't been like, it's almost like we check that every once in a while, like, and that's still a struggle. But part of that comes from the fact that he's going into a 3-year-old class, and he lucked out, quote unquote, because of his birthday. He was the first eligible birthday, basically, to be able to go in there. So maybe this expectation is a little bit more reasonable if someone's like in the mid 3, almost 4-year-old range as well. So that's what I got, other update stuff, but that's what this has been going through our head from a school perspective. We are absolutely nervous. I'm not gonna let Bryce see that. The cool thing though is, like, I took him on the playground. He's been talking about that playground like nonstop for the last 3 days. Every day when we get in the car, he's saying, "Are we going to school?" So I think we've done a good job of building the excitement. But we're gonna see his reaction as well is going to affect how we feel about it. So I hope he stays strong for his mom and dad.
Yeah, that's got to be a lot. And I get it. What you're saying. I have an August birthday as well, so I was always one of the youngest ones, and it can be intimidating, because the kids were almost always older than me every time I started school. Luckily, I don't want to say luckily, I don't know if it's lucky or not, but Peyton, because she's born in late November, she obviously can't start school till next year, so we will get a little bit of practice on some of that stuff. The underpants thing is like one of the only things that she is like actually pretty good with. In fact, it's almost annoying because sometimes I'll put her on the potty, go to do something really quick, and then she's like off and pulled her pants up already. And I'm like, did you wipe? Did you, because now she's already like, she's good at that part of it. I'm like, okay, but I don't know if we did the other stuff that we need to do first. So that at least I think we're doing okay with. But telling people when she has to go or wiping effectively, that's not the strongest thing. So we'll have to work on that for sure over the next year, because this will be us this time next year. So that's kind of scary. What else has been going on though?
So now that we got that part out of the way, Bryce also on a positive note got his first haircut, which was another thing that we were a little bit nervous about. So for a little background for me, I'm black, for those of you who couldn't tell.
You are?
And my barbershop experience and haircutting, I never went to the salon like with my mom. I vaguely remember my dad had long hair growing up, like a Jerry curl, for those of you who know what that is. If not, look it up. Jheri curl. It's a classic look. So I know when I was a kid, really young, he used to go to the salon to get his haircut. But growing up, my memories of haircuts are always at the barbershop. I've been there when kids were getting their first haircuts, and it's normally like loud. Barbershops are fun, but loud, and like the clippers in and of themselves typically freak kids out. And in the back of my head, like I didn't think too much of it. I just thought, okay, he about to get his haircut. That's somewhat going to be involved. I've seen kids freak out. So shout out to Kelsey. She did a ton of research. She found someone who specialized in curly hair, because that's what Bryce has. And so we get into the salon, and we're prepping them like we do everything. We're telling them the hairdresser's name before he gets there, letting them know what's going to happen, or like he's going to go in and get his haircut. He sits in the chair. We got all kinds of like stuff set up for him. Kelsey gives him a sucker, which he never gets suckers. Kelsey gives him a sucker. He sits down. He's chill. And then the lady just grabs some scissors real quick and like start clipping off the ends. And then I was hesitant with how I didn't really want his haircut originally. So Kelsey kind of had her be cautious. She cut off an amount that I could see it on the floor, but really couldn't tell his hair was cut. I was like, I'm honestly good if you go a little bit further. So he got a legitimate shape up, but it was the most simple thing I've ever seen. Like, all she used was scissors the entire time, kind of eyeballed it.
She was, and he was good with it.
Oh, it was no issue at all. So I definitely was thinking too much about that experience. I didn't realize.
Yeah, I think with like the scissors, like it is better, because I'm trying to remember, but I think. Even when I was little, I want to say they used just scissors on like my hair, my brother's hair, because I think, like you said, clippers freak people out or whatever.
It's loud.
It is loud, but I think Peyton would freak out, but I don't know if she'd freak out about scissors. So I don't know if we have any plans to cut her hair, but yeah, that's cool. So he was good.
Oh, he was perfect. She
and you're good with it.
Yeah, the hair looks good. It's a little bit easier to manage, and I mean, couldn't have been a better experience. So a few other things. Bryce right now is at the stage where he's still firmly in his defiant phase at times, but overall he's just a happy kid until somebody makes him mad. So he's happy. I'd say there are 24 hours in a day. He's happy 20 of them and good, 20 of them and cute, and the 4 hours feel like a whole nother day. But that's what's happening. Loves music, loves dancing all day long. That's pretty much what he wants to do. He wants me to put music on. He wants me to be up and dancing with him. And the cool thing about the last few days, we obviously been able to spend some time together. But we've been going on walks. We've been walking about 2 miles a day. Me, him, and KJ. It's been fun. Just like going around the neighborhood, having him point out fire hydrants. He's been able to see a couple new houses being built on the other side of the neighborhood, which is super cool. On the KJ side, he is firmly trying to sit up right now. He's not quite there, but the nosiest baby I've ever seen. He can move his neck wherever he wants to, so he's looking around everywhere and trying to sit up. Rolling over more consistently. It's not every time now, but it's not a surprise when he rolls over, if that makes sense. We're waiting to start solids with him because we want him sitting up before that happens, but we probably anticipate that coming within the next month and a half or so. In the last couple of weeks,
I can't wait for you guys to start getting like more personality, because it's so cool to see how he'll be different than Bryce, how they'll work together. Just because it's weird, because you raised them the same, you know what I mean? Like you and Kelsey are the same household. You're raising your kid, but they can be so different, and it'll be fun to see when you start going, man. He's the KJ is this way. Bryce wasn't that way at all, or they're exactly the same in certain things. So that's exciting, because you guys aren't too far off from some of that personality starting to peek through.
That's actually what I was going to get into. So we're starting to see it. It started with
okay.
He's very into Bryce right now, which before he could care less if Bryce was in the room or not, really. He might get a smile. Other than that, KJ's watching Bryce, laughing at him, smiling at him nonstop, and Bryce loves that too. So the dynamic between them has been fun to watch over the last couple of weeks. You're starting to see KJ get proud of himself, so he can he'll grab his pacifier, bring it back up to his mouth, or do something on purpose that he was trying to do, and then you can almost, and this is obviously through parents' eyes, but it feels like he's proud of what he's doing. And so honestly, I've said this week in, week out, he's been a great baby, he's way more happy, which is even nuts to think about because Bryce was a happy baby, but KJ's even more happy than Bryce was. The one thing we would change is his ability to sleep a little bit longer stretches throughout the night. And I'm not sure if this is because we're in the perpetual leap cycle right now, but that kid wakes up basically 2 to 3 hours after feeding like clockwork. So we haven't gotten the long stretches. We've done things thought maybe he wasn't getting everything he needed from mom potentially. So we tried to supplement with formula. That wasn't the answer. He's still waking up to eat after that, and he's getting everything he can get out of Kelsey, and that's proven not to be an issue. So the kid just likes to eat. He wakes up like clockwork to do it. And so the game you're playing is he's going to wake up at those intervals. You're praying he doesn't wake up in between, because no matter what, you're getting those every couple hours between feeding. So that's been a little bit more of a struggle in the last, honestly, the last week or two. He's been up just a little bit more than normal, but he's still better than Bryce was. So I can't really complain to you much about sleep because you guys went through it for stretches way more than this. So That's my long-winded. We're almost 20 minutes into the episode. I think it's the longest I've ever gone with an update. But we've had a lot going on, and if I don't say it again before the end of the episode, pray for our sanity the next couple of days, because I can definitely see a world where this don't go well, and we like, you don't have to go yet. we pulling you out. So funny. Let's see where we at.
I like it. Yeah, our weeks have been pretty. It's funny because a couple weeks, a lot can happen. With toddlers and stuff like that, and just even like their mannerisms, at this age, because it changed so much, and a couple days can seem like weeks. So I remember a couple weeks ago, me and Macy were sitting down, and Peyton is a pretty emotional kid, right? She has big emotions, we always say, and that's a lot of times really good, and sometimes it can be a lot. And she's been overly emotional kind of recently, and I remember looking at Macy and being like, "Is Avery been the good kid lately?" And she goes, "Yeah, that's not a good thing." The bad part was Avery hadn't changed. Avery's always Avery, but Peyton had just gotten into like craziness. But now actually the last week or so, she's kind of mellowed out a little bit. But yeah, Peyton's got big. She's got big emotions, and when she's happy, she's the happiest little kid of all time. She's so goofy. She's so much fun. But man, can any little thing just like break her heart and the world is ending. And I mean, that's always been the case, but lately it'll be like the weirdest things. Like I can't even describe to you, like she's upset because the balloon that's near her is green instead of orange, but there's an orange one 7 feet away. Like, I mean, just weird stuff like that are setting her off. But she's been doing good. And like I said, she kind of has gotten a little bit better. There was a week or two where she was just a basket case about almost everything, but she's kind of back to her normal self where she's up and down, kind of like you described Bryce, where she's great most of the time, but when she's bad, it stretches and the world is ending, and like you got to find ways to solve them. It does. Avery's still Avery. Avery, the good part about Avery, she's at that age now where when she's good, she's a lot of fun. She's got like this infectious smile, and she's such a weird little kid too. She likes to like yell or like make weird noises, and she thinks it's hilarious, and she's just got so much energy. But then she will just get set off also by every little thing, and then the world is ending. Like we went to the splash pad today, and Peyton did pretty good. I actually was really proud of her. She had a lot of fun. But Avery, every little thing, the world was ending. She was, unless you were holding her, she just was miserable. I do know she's in the middle of a leap as well, and she's got a molar coming in, so there's a couple of things that are probably adding to it. But, I mean, we're 14 months in, and Avery's kind of always been Avery.
Allegedly.
But she is allegedly, right?
Because we still haven't seen it. People in our friend group have discussed, we haven't seen it.
Ask the people who watch her.
Hey, I'm going to trust your judgment, but we still have not seen it, and we've had plenty of opportunity.
She is funny though. She's starting to say more words, and she's super smart. I think with her being around her sister, learning stuff, she's like learns a lot of things, I think, pretty quickly. She's an amazing walker. Like ever since she started walking, she's just a really good walker. And but like she can like color. She say words now. She can make she signs more now. She's just learning things at a rapid pace, and she tries to fake read like Peyton used to do a lot, and so she's definitely at a fun age. It's just when she just gets mad randomly, and then you just basically got to hold her. If you hold her 24/7, she's pretty good, but you can't really make that happen. And it's kind of funny because I feel like we probably held her less because you have two. You just naturally hold the second one less, but she wants to be held more than Peyton ever did. So, she constantly wants to be held. Especially after her. That's one thing we have noticed is that she seems to be the worst, or we have the most trouble with her after her nap. So she's down to kind of one nap a day, and she's usually pretty good before her first nap, but after her nap, she's for about an hour or so just miserable. It's like she doesn't sleep long enough, but she did. Like she slept 2 hours or 2.5 hours, but then she is upset for another hour after she wakes up. But she's doing good. Like I said, a molar coming in.
This is a random question, but I was actually thinking about this the other day, and it's voices, like how their voices differ. How is Avery's voice different than Peyton? Is that something that like you can for sure notice?
Yeah, so you definitely can notice it. She definitely has a different voice. The funny part is she makes like I said, she makes like screeching noises all the time and like this yelling noise, and it's kind of raspy, and it's just funny. She's got like this raspy little like screech, and she like has this weird like, it sounds like an evil villain laugh that she does like after she does it. So she's kind of goofy that way. But she's got a cute little baby voice right now, and she's also starting, not fully there, but she's starting to get in that stage where they say no to everything, and it's kind of cute, but it's also like trouble. She's just like no, and you're like, nope, let's not start that. But she has a cute voice. The funny part with them is their hair's so much different. Peyton's got such like long, dark, thick hair, and Avery's got like this like sandy blonde, like really curly type hair. Both are super cute. It's just they definitely look very different from each other. And Peyton's hair wasn't super long at that age, but it definitely was way darker. So their hair's quite a bit different. But they look decently different. They look like sisters, but they don't look like identical at all. So which is good. They kind of all both have their own look. The funny part is, you mentioned, so Peyton is obsessed with Avery most of the time. Every morning she wants to get Sissy up right away, even if she's still sleeping, and then breaks down crying instantly if we can't go wake her sister up. She also started saying recently that Avery is her baby and that she was in her belly, so that's fun. But she loves playing with her sister now, and they're good together most of the time. They actually play pretty well together, but every once in a while Peyton's bigger and just doesn't understand that she can hurt her little sister, so she will push her or knock something out of her hand, take something from her, and make her mad, and that's a whole thing. But they're actually doing pretty well together. But there's times where they definitely fight, but for the most part they're doing well, and it's fun to see them playing together. Because today they were both sitting at the art table coloring next to each other. It was super cute. Like they were just sitting there sharing crayons with one another. One thing I will say, and I've noticed this because we typically aren't the type of family that goes out to eat a lot. Like I just would rather get takeout than go out to eat most of the time. And I will say that between like 10 months and like 15 months, which is where Avery is, in my opinion, is the worst time to take a kid out to eat. So I don't know any parents out there. Maybe you agree with me, disagree with me, but it is the worst. And it's not like this isn't against age. This is just the age. Because what happens is before about 10 months, they're still like, you can put them and they sit and they don't do much, right? Like, I guess I shouldn't say 10 months. Before they start crawling, basically, because they're pretty stationary, right? They just sit, they're there, you can keep them entertained. And then once they hit like 15 months, they can kind of like be on a task. You can give them crayons, you can give them toys, you can keep them entertained with something. But between those two marks, I feel like is when they just want to grab everything and throw it and get into everything and move everywhere. And that is 100% what Avery wants to do.
That's
and we
great.
had
You
to go
got
out a couple different times.
On the table.
Oh my gosh. So we went out a couple times for like my dad's retirement party and his birthday party, a couple different things. And Avery just like and it wasn't like she's just being herself, but she wanted to grab everything. She wanted to yank water glasses down, grab knives and forks, crawl on the ground. It's just a lot. And like Peyton was being great. She was with her cousins and she was chill. And I'm like, man, we need to wait a few more months before we go out. So any parents out there, if your kid's around Avery's 14 months now, it's rough. I feel for you. But speaking of which, we were around our cousins a lot, and the kids played really well with them, which was super fun. And it's good to see the kid, like Peyton's starting to get to the age where she actually like isn't just around her cousins, she's playing with them, interacting with them, and likes to see them, and they're actually like playing games together. And like her and Braden, which is her closest in age cousin, and they would like run around playing cars the other day, and it was just cute. They were just goofing around, doing something that she like normally wouldn't do at home, but I think because he's older and she thought it was cool that he was playing with these cars, so she wanted to play with them. So that was really nice. So other than that, like we've been doing pretty well. Can't complain. I will say, we definitely struggled with the sleep thing, like you mentioned, but knock on wood, Avery pretty much, once we finally got through it, which it took a long time. I don't know if it was like 9-10 months, but since then she's a great sleeper. She's almost, like I said, she doesn't even like to be rocked. You just put her down and she'll sleep. I can't. Yeah, so that part is great. And I won't lie. So Avery there is a great kid right now. Even in the sleep, again, knock on wood, I'm not trying to jinx us, but she hasn't had any regressions, hasn't had any issues. She's really solid in that department. So no complaints there. But Brandon, you said you got a piece of baby gear. What piece of baby gear do you got this week?
I got one that's a toy and one that applies to our topic. So the first one is the Hot Wheels Mega Mat. It comes with vehicles, so 2 cars came with it. So my parents are out of town. My mom tends to like to send Bryce stuff if she's out of town randomly. She did this the last time. So and they've been gone for about a week, and he's gotten 2 separate Amazon packages that had solo Hot Wheels in them. One was a Silverado EV. You probably will appreciate that. She wanted to find him a truck that was like his dad and his pawpaws. We don't have EVs, but we both have Silverados. And I'm telling you, this kid has not. I haven't seen him gravitate to a toy like this in quite a long time. Like he plays with it all day. Like he's using the car on wall. And he got a ton of cars. I don't know what it was about this car, but he loves it. So he's playing with it a lot. And then she sent him another car. Actually, I can't even remember. I think it was a Volkswagen van or something like that. I called it something. I called it a van, but something different. So I can't remember what the actual name of it was. But Kelsey, knowing that he had those, saw at, I believe it was Costco, a Hot Wheels playmat. And I've been for a long time wanting like a big. I remember having like the big rug, like basically a road.
Roads.
We thought we had bought one at, I think we were at TJ Maxx, and it was like $6, and it turns out that thing was like the smallest little road ever. So this one's pretty big. It spreads out on the floor, and Bryce has been having a good time playing with his new cars on the mat. So that's the toy version, and then one that's more topical. This is the Once Upon a Farm pouches. So we're gonna get into healthy food options. We'll talk a little bit later about how we incorporate these. But long story short, they are, and Once Upon a Farm in general, they have bars and stuff like that too. But the pouches are a mixture of both vegetables and fruit, and Bryce loves them. So he normally has at least 1 pouch a day, and you can get a lot of your green vegetables, adequate serving size and stuff like that, and with those pouches as well, fruit, things like that. So how we implement those and why we can kind of get into with the topic, but that's one thing I wanted to highlight separately from when we start talking about it. What you got?
So my piece of baby gear is, and I've talked about it on the show a few different times, but Peyton has some like digestive issues. And so something that Macy kind of looked up and we decided to start having her take is basically fiber gummies. They make them for kids. The ones that we bought were from Little Critters. They're on Amazon. I think it's like $10 for a whole little thing, and they're gummy bears. There's a 90 count on the ones we bought. On, like I said, they're little gummies, and basically it helps her get fiber in her diet because she has some digestive issues, so it's helped supplement it. So it kind of goes again with our topic here. So she's been taking those for I think a couple weeks now, or just over a week, and she's, knock on wood, been pretty good. Although she's been a couple days now, so we're getting a little nervous again. But nothing crazy the past few weeks digestive wise. So if your kid maybe has some issues going to the bathroom or stuff with that, it might be something to look at. They make a lot of different brands have them. You can get them on Amazon. And like I said, when they make them those little gummy bears, the kids tend to like them and don't fight you on eating them. So she takes those with a vitamin every single morning now.